But first, the censorious cancel culture left. The same tribe of people who spent the last decade or more telling us that words are violence, that feelings are more important than reason, and that the right should be censored for all their hateful hate speech, have suddenly become dyed-in-the-wool, free speech, First Amendment diehards. Why? Well, because late-night comedian, yeah, I know, but that's the official title, late-night comedian Jimmy Kimmel has been pulled from the airwaves over a joke, or an attempted joke about Charlie Kirk. Have a look and hold on to your sides here, because you might split them from laughing.
We had some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Well, there was more to his routine, but this is the bit I really wanted to show you, because it is not just a bad joke, but it is a lie about which I'll have a lot more to say a bit later on in the program. But there is a lot to unpack here beyond the stupidity of claiming that Charlie Kirk's alleged shooter was MAGA. And it goes to the heart of questions about free speech, government overreach, and political sensitivities. Now, on one level, and I say this as a near absolutist on free speech, I get why people are concerned about broadcasters seeming to toe the line to the Trump administration, or really any administration. And I can see why people think Kimmel's bosses might have read the room politically and given Jimmy the flick. After all, speaking about Kimmel's routine, the head of the FCC, Brendan Carr, he's the guy who regulates the airwaves in the U.S., said that, quote, "This is a very, very serious issue right now for Disney," the parent company of Kimmel's broadcaster. "We can do this the easy way or the hard way," he said. So, just to take him at his word there, well, there was a clear implication that there was a broadcast license on the line, and critics have leapt upon this as proof that Kimmel's suspension was simply political. But you know what I say? Not so fast, because I am old enough to remember all the far more direct censorship the Democrats and the left have engaged in. Like that time CIA contractors colluded with the Biden administration to block the Hunter Biden laptop story, arguably interfering in the 2020 election. Or when the Biden administration had a literal hotline into Facebook and the social media giants, where they could call up and get any post they did not like taken down. And of course, who can forget when Jack Dorsey, the head of Twitter before Elon Musk took over, literally banned a presidential candidate, Donald Trump, because he didn't want him to have the reach. So, spare me, please, everyone who's now complaining about Jimmy Kimmel losing his gig. I'm sorry, but you know what? You set the rules, and now you've got to live with them. This idea that Kimmel has somehow had his First Amendment rights violated is, when you dig further, really pretty laughable. Almost as laughable as the left, which used to celebrate when people on the right lost their jobs. And now they're suddenly crying victim. I mean, back in 2023, the left was cheering over a book called The Case for Cancel Culture, saying it was good for democracy. In 2022, Squad member Ilhan Omar was tweeting that just because you had freedom of speech did not mean you were insulated from the consequences of said speech. Your opinions have consequences like everything else in life, she said. Speaking of Squad members, what do you think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had to say when Tucker Carlson lost his gig at Fox News?
Tucker Carlson is out at Fox News. Couldn't have happened to a better guy.
And while we're on the subject, here's Jimmy Kimmel himself in 2023 on that very same subject. And listen to the crowd go wild.
Fox News has severed bow ties with Tucker Carlson. After all these years, they are parting ways, which means he was fired. I mean, that's really what parting ways means. Tucker couldn't be reached for comment. He's already on a plane to Moscow to meet with his manager. But what a shock. I mean, what an absolutely delightful shock this is.
Well, what's the old saying? Turnabout is fair play, and payback is... I think you know the rest. Now, there is more to this, too, because this decision by Kimmel's bosses would surely have had a commercial angle to it as well. Kimmel's ratings were, let's just say, not so hot. And in the first quarter of this year alone, his ratings had tumbled by 24%. Now, I'm no network boss, but all I can imagine is that ABC chiefs saw this as a convenient excuse to give the flick to a money-losing proposition that was, oh yeah, also alienating half of the network's potential audience. But let's go back to what Kimmel said, because to use the left's own language, he was spreading misinformation, disinformation, if you like, about the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk and his motivation. Kimmel said that it was a MAGA guy who was responsible. Now, yes, it is still before the courts, but all the evidence suggests that this was a lie. And Kimmel's not the only one pushing this line. It's become a massive part of the information ecosystem. Deflection, redirection, and even sympathy for an alleged killer. Here's American ABC reporter Matt Gutman describing what came out, and you're going to love this here, what came out of the press conference where authorities revealed text messages between Charlie Kirk's alleged killer and his roommate/lover.
Also, it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate, who is transitioning, calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love. So it was this duality of someone who the attorney said not only jeopardized the life of Charlie Kirk and the crowd, but was doing it in front of children, which is one of the aggravating circumstances of this case. And on the other hand, he was, speaking so lovingly about his partner.
Touching! Really? Montel Williams had something very similar to say on CNN. Check this out.
Talking about a love-torn child, a kid. This is probably his first real relationship, and somebody was disparaging the person that he loved. He sat on that building for 30 minutes before he took the shot. Why did he wait until the first word trans came up? Then he took the shot. You think he heard it? He could hear it? I think he could hear it. I think he also, I don't believe he was motivated politically. I think this was motivated emotionally. I think this was a emotionally stunted person who literally, when I say it this way, just hear me, tried to defend his significant other.
No, it wasn't political at all. It was a crime of passion, a crime of the heart. Because, of course, who among us has not avenged an insult against a lover by blowing a hole in someone's neck from a rooftop 200 yards away? How absolutely romantic. Personally, I'd rather say it with flowers or, better yet, martinis and steak, but that's just me. Yet this effort to retell the story from the left's perspective, to turn it from a political murder to a crime of innocence and passion, is creating an ecosystem of lies that is starting to bear fruit. Now, despite everything you would know about this case, a YouGov poll found this week that of those in America who had an opinion either way, more people thought a Republican shot Charlie Kirk than a Democrat. So you can see why we have a problem here. The lies have a consequence, and they are showing up in public opinion. But for the final word on this question of late-night hosts and comedians being political, let's go. I want to play this for you here. Let's go to Johnny Carson, once the king of late-night comedy in America and the absolute pioneer of the form. Let's have a look at what he thought about the idea of him using his own comedic platform as a jumping-off point to get into politics.
Tell me the last time that Jack Benny, Red Skelton, any comedian, used his show to do serious issues. That's not what I'm there for. Can't they see that?
But you're not.
Why do they think that just because you have a Tonight Show that you must deal in serious issues? That's a danger. It's a real danger. Once you start that, you start to get that self-important feeling that what you say has great import. And you know, strangely enough, you could use that show as a forum. You could sway people, and I don't think you should as an entertainer.